Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to review Alien, the first and original. So I have the movie on 4K, and I can't recall whether I watched this copy or it was on streaming. I remember being injured at the time, and I don't know exactly which format I watched it in, but I went back to see it fairly recently because I couldn't remember if I watched in 4K or not. So I watched it again, and this movie absolutely looks amazing in 4K. It just, whatever they did to it, it just looks incredible. And basically, it came out over 40 years ago. This movie came out in 79. And so the graphics just look insane. I thought they did a great job. And so not only was this the original movie, but it has spawned so many that I know of. There are at least 7. I can't recall if Prometheus would make an 8th or if that's part of the 7. But I have another separate collection for Alien. I have the 6-film collection here. So I guess I could have seen whether or not Prometheus, which it is included on here. So, okay, so I'm just an idiot. So, we got the Alien 6 movie collection, and Alien Romulus is now the 7th. This one does not have Alien versus Predator, so I'm assuming that would be the 8th in the franchise, technically speaking. So, regardless, I didn't watch the first one on Blu-ray, and I have not seen the rest of them, unfortunately. I've only seen the first one, and I've lucked out with Romulus because I'm told that this one takes place right after the first one. It takes place between movie 1 and 2. So I sort of lucked out with that, and so I'm going to watch it soon, and I really wanted to, one, review it after I see it, which is why I'm reviewing Alien now, which is sort of why I gave it a recent rewatch for the review. And so this franchise, I think, hit every note perfectly, and we're going to dive into how and why. So in this movie, Ripley and a handful of crew respond to a distress call on this planet. And obviously, if you know the franchise, seen the trailer, this planet and this abandoned station features the alien, the xenomorph. And so this movie sort of, not only was it the beginning of this long-standing franchise, but as soon as I watched it, I can understand why they spawned so many movies. Now, I haven't personally heard word of mouth of the reception of some of the sequels. I know Aliens is supposed to be really, really good. I've heard some people really like that one. And it goes into the later movies that it seems to be almost a divided fan base. Not nearly a toxic fan base like Star Wars, but with Alien, it seems to be kind of divided as far as the sequels after the second one are concerned. And so I'm looking forward to watching them. But since Romulus takes place between 1 and 2, I'm going to give that one a watch first. And so in this movie, we got sort of a almost generic plot, but it works so perfectly just because of the setting and the set design and the prop pieces. Everything just made it hit every note perfectly. So what I mean by that is it is violent. There is some gore. There's language. But each of those categories, this movie, it doesn't go over the top with any of it. There's gore, but it's not too much. There's language, but it's not too much. It's scary, but it's not too much. So I think this movie sort of that perfect medium for, I think, adults and children to both enjoy while getting the same, or at least mostly same, reaction that's for the intended audiences for this movie, with the the minimal jump scares and with the unsettling story and with the alien coming out of the chest. I think all those iconic moments sort of can affect children and adults the same way because of how it was done. And I think that's something extremely rare in not only horror movies or sci-fi movies, but in what becomes franchise movies as a whole. And so I really like that about this one. I remember the first and second time I watched it thinking, this is why this is a successful franchise. And it is because of the first one, it is because of its rewatchability. And I can just imagine so many people, when they want their friends to watch Alien and they sort of want to watch the first one with them, I don't think there's any Alien fans that feel annoyed or exhausted to have to watch the first one with their friends or family. The first one is always just this iconic classic to just sort of dive into everything and be a part of that world all over again. I don't think there's any annoyance or hesitation with that. And that's sort of how it is in the most successful franchises. For example, you take Star Wars or Star Trek. There are a lot of people that want to watch the first one with you, and and I think Aliens the same way, because clearly not only of its later on proof of success, but its original success with just this movie. And so, in this movie, sort of a brief synopsis of how the plot moves along is it's not necessarily a slasher in the horror sense, but it's a slasher, I would say, in the sense of your handful of characters is slowly dwindling little by little the further along you go in this movie. And so that kind of builds the anticipation with who's next or how are they going to die next. And then the same thing raises the stakes for the same reason of people dying and what this alien is doing and how it's doing it. That is continuously raising the stakes, and that is what also contributes to this movie's anticipation stakes, not only being strong in certain points, but it stays continuous throughout the whole thing, which is another thing that I find rare in sci-fi and horror movies. If they can keep the stakes constantly raising and keep the anticipation pretty much the entire time. And of course, as you move along and we're getting less and less characters, when you get to sort of it's what you believe to be the ending. I know there are aliens in the franchise, but I didn't know which characters would survive, and I guess I should have known that Ripley would be in more than just one, but somehow I just didn't, and so I got to have that shock factor watching the first movie for the first time. When she finally escapes and you think she's escaped, and you realize that the alien is there with her. And that was one of the most intense showdowns I've seen in anything horror or franchise or sci-fi. I don't know why I'm considering them separate. I know it's kind of both. I know horror fans consider Alien horror. I know it's most considered sci-fi. I'm just going to reference both for the sake of this review. And so that final showdown, I think, not only was it very intense for me to watch, but it was almost the way it was done. Sort of just takes your breath away. I felt out of breath just sitting there with intensity and anticipation, waiting to see how this was going to get resolved. And clearly, its ending is how Alien Romulus is now part of the franchise and why it's inserted right back to taking its slot between 1 and 2. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see Romulus. I'm excited to see the rest of these movies. This is a franchise that I sort of dipped my toe into with just seeing the first one, but now I think I'm going to do a deep dive pretty soon and just sort of immerse myself in the world of Alien, because I think this, even though so many consider it a classic, I think this movie is still underrated, which is ironic, but I think the more people can enjoy classic sci-fis like this, I just find this sort of thing more enjoyable than certain modern sci-fi movies. And so the fact that it came out in 79 not only is interesting because it doesn't feel like that old of a movie. The cast, the dialogue, the way the scares are in this movie, it doesn't feel like an old movie, but it is. And not only does it not feel like an old movie, if you have the 4K copy of it, it doesn't look like that old of a movie. And so I just think that clearly with the 4K release and with Alien Romulus having, for the most part, as far as I'm hearing, positive reviews, this seems to be a ever-growing franchise that it sounds like it's not going to stop with Romulus. So either way, no matter if you like or dislike the sequels, let me know in the comments which ones are some of the best ones. I want something to look forward to. I not only do I look forward to watching these movies, but I anticipate getting to do a review of all of them as a franchise once I'm finished, because I do want to review them individually, but I want to review them as a franchise as well and sort of see if whether or not it digressed as the franchise went along or if it turned into somewhat of a mystery, those are the things I think about when I start a new franchise. So just regardless, I'm ecstatic. I've seen just the first one. I'll be seeing Romulus very soon. I'll be reviewing Romulus very soon, and I'm just very happy to be a movie lover and find movies like this. It's another thing I wanted to point out with 4K releases. Alien, Jaws, Star Trek. It almost seems like the older the movie is, if done right, the better the 4K copy will look. I think it's proven with Alien. I think it's proven with Jaws. And I think it's proven with Star Trek. So I look forward to not only reading more movies, but checking out the rest of this beloved classic franchise. I got a 6-movie collection here. Let me know in the comments which one I'm missing. I believe Alien vs. Predator is the only movie besides Romulus that is out, that is not included in this 6-film collection. And I found this for $20. So, as far as I'm aware, just movie 1 and 2 are the only ones in 4K right now. I think Covenant and Prometheus might be. But if you're not a collectionist, if that's even a word, of 4Ks, this one's a pretty affordable copy. And then you can sort of do your own deep dive with the Blu-ray, which I think is fine. And so it's just my excitement with 4K is sort of what gets me in trouble with having sometimes 2 copies of the same movie. But anyway, thank you guys for sticking with me. I just really wanted to share my love for this movie and this franchise so far. So thank you guys for watching this review, and I'll catch you guys next time.